I think there's a connectivity issue with Ravindran, so I'll go with the physician's prayer. Dear Lord, thou great physician, I kneel before thee, since every good and perfect gift must come from thee. I pray, give skill to my hands, clear vision to my mind, kindness and sympathy to my heart. Give singleness of purpose, strength to life, at least a part of the burden, or of my suffering fellow men, and a true realization of the rare privilege that is mine. Take from my heart all guide and worldliness, that we, with the simple faith of child, I rely on thee. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Now I invite Dr. Tannu Murmu, Council Member of IMA MSN Tirunelveli for the flag salutation. I think Tannu is not here, so I'll proceed with the flag salutation. We, the members of Indian Medical Association, stand here to salute our national flag. In honor and glory shall be our light and strength, and its course shall be our course. We pledge our allegiance to it and realizing our responsibilities as the accredited members of this national organization. We swear we will dedicate everything in our part to see it fly high in the comity of nations. Jai Hind. Long live IMA. Next, we invite a member of JDN, our beloved Dr. Srija ma'am, for the welcome address.
So here we are for our session 6 of Thiran. So Thiran is going successfully and it has come up to the session 6. So today we'll be having two speakers. We have chosen the topic for UPSC CSE. So Union Public Commission Services, Civil Service Examination. We have wonderful two speakers. One of them is TVMC alumni and the other one is Madras Medical College MMC alumni. So they have already achieved so many laurels and they are here to share how was their path and how to go in their path. So all the aspirants today, we have two achievers who have established a good and a great stand in this field of civil services. They are here with us for Thiran session 6. So they'll be guiding us and sharing their experiences. So I welcome all the participants and all who are here to achieve this feat of theirs. So welcome everyone for Thiran session. So we have a great session upcoming, and without further ado, we'll proceed with the session. So, Darshana.
Thank you, ma'am. Next, we welcome our former president of IMA Tirunelveli, Dr. Subramanian sir, who has always been guiding MSN and very supportive to all the events. We welcome you to the event, sir, and we would like your guidance on UPSC civil service exams.
Hello. Hi, good evening. So I'm really glad that IMA Tirunelveli is taking this initiative. I've been attending the last few sessions. Still a unique opportunity for us to interact with both the civil servant service achievers. One is Dr. Prashant, who I know from his UG days in Emerson and also other activities. So I welcome Dr. Prashant, who is working as assistant collector, first posting, I believe, in Coimbatore, which is a bigger metropolitan city compared to the southern cities. So hope he is enjoying his stay and also learning the intricacies of the administration in Tamil Nadu. I was really glad that he's chosen Tamil Nadu as his first choice in securing the placement. So civil service, as you all know, it's a coveted post wherever we go, from the collector, assistant collector post up to the chief secretary in the state, and also in the deputation to the national civil service group. So in fact, IAS is one of the top in the civil service groups, apart from IRS, IFS, and also the other wings. So I know some people are taken IPS also, but I've discussed with them. It's their choice, really, how to take up these positions. So welcome, Dr. Prashant from Coimbatore. And also we have Dr. Nitila. So she is alumni of TMC and currently posted as Assistant Commissioner in GST. So that is a revenue service. That is also a unique opportunity with a lot of sea changes happening in the commercial sector and also income tax, excise, and others. With the central government taking firm steps on these, so I'm sure she will also have a good tenure. So coming to Thiran, yes, it's a really we have about 40 delegates as of now. So please listen to them and interact with them because it's hard to get the intricacies of securing the top position in the civil service exam. And there is one paper as medical science paper, which I remember I wrote it some time back during my PG days. It was in, I think, Trivandrum I went to, but that's for the medical paper, really. So the interview process before and also the theory part one, part two, and all the steps, they will probably guide you and take notes. And you can also interact with them through other media communications with them. And I request all the delegates or the future aspirants of civil service to be, so you can achieve really. So just the way it is, and we would like more of our doctors to join the medical service and the civil service. That will help shape our medical force within the administration. Because that is a really need. There are few like Dr. Radhakrishnan and the current health secretary and Dr. Uma. So there are few of them as medics, but still more needed to take up our positions in the administration. So with that, I sincerely congratulate Dr. Hariharan from the state and also Dr. Srija Darshana and the younger team to take this initiative as a Thiran project for the last 2-3 months. Hope it will help for the delegates to take it up in their securing their post graduation and the civil service. With that, thank you once again. Best wishes.
Thank you, sir. Next, we introduce our first speaker for Thiran Session 6, alumni of our college, Dr. Priyanti ma'am of 2015 batch of TVMC and Assistant Commissioner of National Academy of Customs, Indirect Taxes and Narcotics of Indian Revenue Service. We welcome you to the session, ma'am.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Audible,
Good
audible,
evening.
ma'am.
Yeah, good evening, one and all. It's a pleasure to share this platform amidst all of you. I hope most of them are budding young doctors who are aspiring to get into civil services. And yeah, kudos to IMA for this session. And also, I'm much delighted to have Dr. Prashant, who was my batchmate there back at Labasna, sharing this platform. So here, I have been asked to talk about choosing this civil services after doing medicine, be it PG or UG, and discuss the challenges and prospects about it. So first, let me begin by giving you a bird's eye view. I think, sorry for this disclaimer, but I'd be much happy if I'm able to see 2 or 3 more faces also, if I can. So the thing is, yeah, thank you for that. And to be to start with a bird's eye view, I would try to discuss from my own experience, like how I got into the civil services. I think from there you'll be able to get a first-hand taste of it. So, just as for the dictum, I was in 12th standard. I chose biomaths just because I'm not a fan of engineering. And yeah, I was able to do decent enough in my academics, and that is how I entered into civil services. I mean, I was able to get into medical college. Till then, life was like the usual cliche idea of flow with the flow. I have not planned anything so far, like till then, whether be it civil service or whatever it is. I hadn't planned so much about it. I still remember when I was in my pre-final year, I was even attending the PG coaching entrance because of peer pressure. So that is how clueless I was. But then, the moment I entered the medical college, there are certain things that I kept pondering. Like, because back in school days, I was this kind of kid who used to do so much beyond the books. That is, I was always out of the books type of person, which means I participated in so much of these scholarly kind of activities like blogging or writing poems, participating in culturals, and all those things had always been there. And therefore, I found medicine to be a little restrictive. With all due respect and love towards medicine as a subject, I would like to differentiate it from thinking of medicine as a field. So, when it comes to medicine as a field, what I find is it is one field that will consume so much of your energy, so much of your time that you will hardly have left time left for yourself. So that is when I thought, okay, is it ideal for me or should I think back later? And then a fag end of this came when I was actually in my internship. It was done during the peak of Delta variant of COVID, basically the pandemic years. So we were working then as interns. So by then I understood that during the pandemic, the issue that we dealt was administrative and not purely scientific or medical. That is when I thought, why not give it a try? Like, instead of getting contentment or satisfaction from treating a patient, why don't we take it to another platform where we'll get greater satisfaction by addressing the policy or governance issues. That is when I thought, okay, let us give it a try. And yes, I did plan. I started it very late. It was by May 2021 when the pandemic ended. So we gave my first attempt was actually in 2022. Of course, that was a grossly underprepared or unprepared attempt. And I strictly recommend none of you to do that either. And then I could not clear it as expected because I missed it by a margin of 0.7 marks. That is a margin I lost it. But then the entire following year, 2022, I devoted entirely for this preparation of civil services. And in the following attempt, second attempt, I was able to make it. In 2023, I was in the service. It was Indian Revenue Services as they have introduced me. So now the crux of it is all those years, I just had one thought in my mind, which is never to have a regret. Because if I did not attempt civil services after UG, then probably I would have never attempted it at all. And that is the only regret that I should get rid of. And that was always there in my mind when I was giving this attempt. Now, the greatest question that the common queries that you will have, let me begin addressing them one after the another. So first is, can we do? I mean, can we do it actually after our undergraduation? I presume most of you would be in your pre-final or final years. So you'll, of course, getting this dilemma because this is the prime time of your life. You're in college. So you'll be there. You'll be pushed to make a career choice. So at this junction, I would like to give you a rough framework just for the benefit of all. I'll just tell you what is the pattern of this exam. It has got three stages basically. First is the prelims, second is mains, and the third is interview. And in prelims, you have got two papers, GS1 and 2, and these are merely qualifying things. That is, you should just cross the cutoff. That's it. And GS1 and GS2, and in the GS paper 1 and paper 2. And the paper 2 is quite challenging, might be challenging for some of the medicals because it is all about aptitude. And we have forgotten our basic mathematics long back somewhere in school. So it might be challenging for us. And after clearing this, we have the mains, which is actually the real game. We have got about 5 plus 2, 7 papers, which are going to decide your rank. And then comes the final stage, which is the interview. Interview is again for a marks of 250, and together your score in the mains and the interview is going to make it's going to decide your position on the final list. Of course, together with the reservation policies and all those, you're going to be allotted a particular service. This is how the whole process works. So what I need to say is, if everything seems so fine, glittery, and glamorous, then what is the problem? Why is it not always a cakewalk? The answer is one, UPSC is often notoriously called as the unpredictable service commission. which means like most of them, even though the syllabus tend to be static, there is often tiny changes that are often made. For example, this year you can have ethics paper to be the easiest, and the next year essay will be the easiest. And again in prelims, this year you can get two questions from say art and culture. The next year it will be 12 questions. So often these kind of contradictions do persist in UPSC. And another is of course the level of competition that you have. So as per the dictum, as people say it, out of every three candidates who are appearing in the interview, only one is likely to be there on the final test. So this shows the intensity of the competition that is prevailing, and that makes us ambiguous whether we should go for it or not. So you can then again, there comes the age bar and also the number of attempts. One thing I would wish to recommend to all of you is please don't get carried away with the hoax of so-called the number of attempts. Because say someone might clear it in their first attempt or second attempt, or some of them might take a little longer. But all what matters in all these cases is how many years they have put into the preparation of the service. That is a real question that you should be asking, because the entire exam process, right from your prelim stage till the final result, that itself will take about an year. And to cover the syllabus in length and breadth, of course, you need at least a year. So even the best brains of this country, they would definitely need that amount of perseverance and endurance in order to make it to the service. So this is something you should always think about, because as medicos, what happens is we tend to think about, at least even think about the services only much later during our graduation years. So please don't get carried away with these paraphrases, whatever they call. And then there comes, should I go for it or not? Obviously, that is why I think most of you are here. Should I go for it or not? So now I would like to base your decision based on certain parameters or criteria, if I can call. So there are certain criteria by which you have to decide whether it will be ideal or apt for you to endure this process. And the first is, please do not. I mean, I humbly request you, please do not attempt a UPSC civil service examination just because you do not like medicine, because I come across so many juniors who come to me for mentorship and all these. They often tell to me, Akka, we are just tired of being in medicine. Like, can we now go for civil service? So I hope by the tale that I have narrated so far, you would have understood by now that this is not something you can do out of boredom. There are a lot many things you can do for that. So this is not one such thing. And secondly, of course, some people tend to do it because they may think money matters or it makes you rich. But of course, you'd have heard of this dictum, right? Even before you come into medicine, there are this people tend to say that doctors earn a lot. And of course, reality hits hard. That is how it is with civil services also. And then comes the most important thing. Please don't ever try it just because it's just out of societal pressure. To put it in a better way, or to tell you frankly enough, I feel most of us will be from middle class families. And there is still the colonial hangover that is prevailing, which they tend to associate the perks and privileges that we get in civil services to the stability or the career security that we have in government jobs. So, what I mean to say is there are several other jobs that you can opt if you need those kind of things. So, definitely, these are not some premises based on which you have to choose whether you should go for civils or not. So, just remember what gives you contentment. Does serving a patient, just healing a patient brings you contentment? Or is it something bigger? Or are you a person who has that administrative kind of qualities that you want to go beyond the premises of the hospital? That is something you should ponder a lot before you even embark on this journey. And then comes, please do know the rules of the game. Before you're on the field, you must know what this game is all about. You know, because since it is a very long process, there can never be an external source of motivation. You should have your own spark or the inner flare so that you can stay motivated throughout this entire preparation, which of course might be long. Okay. So that is one thing. And then comes, when should I start? Is it first year, second year, third year? And this question often pops up in your mind. So for this, I would say that there is a lot of groundwork that has to be done. This groundwork seem to be very minute stuffs. For example, of course, it takes, even though it seems to be minute, what I mean to say is it can it can prove to have a large consequence on your entire journey. So this is something you should decide with prudence and patience. Some of these are, of course, you should know what is the syllabus, PYQs, books, and all these you can, there are so many, you can refer Google or you can YouTube, whatever. You have so much of stuff on these. But above all, you'll have this question, should I go for coaching or not? Or should it be online? Should it be offline? And also, these are some questions which the beginners tend to ask, right? So for all these, let me describe this by giving you my own example. Like I have been born and brought up in tier two cities. Like I have spent most of my lives in Tuticorin and Tirunelveli and the southern side, and I haven't been staying for so long in metros and all. So what I feel is, when it comes to me, if someone spoon feeds me the lecture, I'll be happy about it, and I'll be even more happier if I'm able to do it at my own pace, in my own comfort zone. Then I'll be even more happier. So I naturally went for the online when it comes to test, evaluation, discussions, or whatever. And also, I'm much more comfortable when it comes to learning alone rather than involving in group studies and all these kind of things. So that is why I naturally went with online mode. And that too, as I was telling you again, it was a pandemic. So entire methodology of the entire ecosystem of UPSC preparation, it was made online. That was even an icing on the cake, I would say. So, but now, if you do not, in order to decide upon all these parameters, you'll require some time. It might take some few weeks or even months before you get on this. So this is the time when you have to think about all these little things before you actually start the preparation. Next thing I would say is you should get into the habit of learning. You know, there is a stereotype, although it is not so correct. People tend to say that it is civil service is easier for doctors, even though that might not always be true. The reason they tend to say it is we have spent a lot of time with academics preparing for NEET or even before that. So since we have been staying with academics for so long, they try to have this feeling that we are naturally good in it. But the actual crux is we have to inculcate discipline within us to endure this preparation, and that is the thing that will make a difference. And one more thing I would like to say is hone your skills. That is what more important, right? Even before getting into MBBS, like just freshers would be there, just beginning freshers in medical colleges, they would still ask me, like, what do we do now if we have to get into civils? So for them, for those kind of people, I often tell you that during your MBBS years, just try to acquire the personality or develop those skills which is desirable for an UPSC aspect. See, civil services is like it's like a vast ocean. Here you need multiple skill set to survive. To survive, for example, you need this empathy, leadership qualities. You need that emotional intelligence, and all these kinds of things equally matter. Like it's not that often nerds alone are able to make it. The exam looks for people who are more holistic in their personality, and that is what it is all about. So during this time in your college, get into that art, like break your shell, get out of your comfort zone, and try to participate in as many events as possible, even for this IMA sessions, organizing these kind of sessions, be it even a blood camps, vaccination camps, or culturals, or sports where you have this TIMS, right, the Tamil Nadu Intermedical Sports Meet. These kinds of things are there. So develop hobbies and try to develop those skills which are much more beyond the books, because that will definitely give you an edge in the final leg of the preparation, which is the interview. Interview of this UPSC exam, it is actually called as a personality test, which means that they don't test your knowledge here. Only the first two stages are about knowledge and not the final one. The final one is more about what kind of person you are. And that is something that you should work all these years, apart from doing the groundwork that I stated previously. And then comes the optional paper. Again, you'll have a dilemma whether you should go for medicine or you should take some other scoring subjects like anthropology, sociology, and so on. Again, here the parameter is based upon your interest. When I was doing civil service, actually my optional subject was medical science only. And the reason that I chose it was about 60% of what we learn in MBBS is only there for UPSC syllabus. So it is comparatively easier for us to cover. And the second is the resources that we have. We have to answer it similar to our university exams. You can prepare the content for medical science from your basic books like Panikkar, Davidson, all these things. You can always rely upon it and you can have a fair, good enough answer for that. And thirdly, always you have this plan B. What if it doesn't work out? What if the heavens forbid? Right? These are some dilemma that pop up. And for this, in case I had it in my mind that if I'm not able to do it in my first few attempts, then I would definitely go for some state medical services or even the CMSE, which is the Central Medical Services, which is again an exam which is conducted by UPSC itself. So I had these options in mind. So I always wanted to stay in touch with the subject, even if it is for NEET PG also. I should not forget everything that I have learned for 5.5 years. Right? So that is something I had, and that is why even this choosing medical science as an optionals, that even I found it to be a natural choice. Okay. So you can also factor your decision based on similar things. And the next one I should say is, even though this might not be appropriate for some of you, but yeah, I wish to be more pragmatic. That is why I tend to pull out this topic also. Uh, do I quit, or when will I quit if things doesn't happen the way they have to? So here I would say just set a goal for yourself. Like don't try to put your entire attempts, all of your attempts and all those. You need not, uh, my humble request would be you need not uh, use all your attempts and stay in this exam process because that could be, you know, mentally and emotionally that could be very draining. That is an exhaustive process, in fact. So I don't really wish any of you would be getting into that position. But again, just at the end of the day, this is actually an exam, right? Like any other competitive exams, this is yet another exam. So here there are multiple factors that can influence your results. What happens on the day of the interview? Are you able to handle that stress on that particular day? So what you'll be, you'll be thrown into a panel, and that panel will have 5 to 6 members, and the experience of those bureaucrats would be more than your own age. They'll be so matured and wise enough in their career. So what happens? How will you be able to handle anxiety at that moment? So there are multiple factors, and of course, a little bit of fortune does play a role. So all these parameters will be deciding your success in this exam. So always don't get into that habit like if this exam, then nothing. So please don't get into that zone. That is a humble request I would have from my side. And of course, other things do matter, right? It could be a financial support or the support from the family, kith and kin, that do matter. I know most of my colleagues who have cleared this exam by being in the state services. They have cleared MRB, they were serving as medical officers, and then they have get into the service. So everyone, if you speak to each and every person who is in the service, they'll be having their own unique stories, and so does you. You to have your own story to tell. So just don't follow something just because one topper is telling something that you should also be following this, or you should also be in the same zone. Please get out of that mentality. That can help you a lot. And one more stuff is know about the services actually. There are about 20 different services. When you're giving UPSC exam, it is not about the top 3 or 4 services alone. There are 20 different services. And the objective of all these services is still the same. Everybody wants to make India a better place to live in. That is the objective, I feel. You know, and when you compare the perks and privileges and salary, when it comes to the pay scale, more or less these services are going to have the same pay scale. And also, what differs is the manner in which that is obtained. For some services, the progression, your career progression, your promotions, heights, transfers, all these would be so fast. But in other services would offer you a decent balance. They'll have a work-life balance also. And it'll provide you stability and all those things are there. So what if you're put into some other services? In that sense, you should know what is good for you. I mean, what kind of person you are, what is that you really require from the services. That is something you should ponder a lot. even before getting into it. Because I came to know there are these many services only when I was filling my biodata for interview. So please don't do that blunder. That is something I wish to say. And again, these are some take-home messages, if I can put it. You know, what we ultimately desire, most of us, well, you're attending the session, you're there in medical colleges, or you're working. So, what is it that you're all aspiring for? Most of us would say that passion is more important, right? We are chasing our passion. That is what, to put it in words of cliche, that is what we say. So, what is passion in a sense? If you ask me, like, to me, passion is something that makes you happy. You should be doing something that makes you happy. That is what passion is all about, right? And we tend to choose a career that aligns with our passion. That is, we have to create a symphony between both. Our passion should be same that of our career. That is what all of us are aspiring for. So don't just see it as a job. Don't see it as a career or something else. So you just, before embarking on this journey, have these little contemplation, I will say. You can have these in your mind too, so that you'll not regret later after making the choice. And one more thing, this exam is more about knowing yourself. It's not about knowing something else. It's about knowing yourself much more than knowing the exam pattern in itself. So be ready to do that experiment and analysis even before you start it. And finally, at the end of the day, whether you make it or not, I would say that this exam preparation itself will make you a better person. Like, you'll be a well-informed citizen. You will get to know about everything that's happening around you, be it politics, geopolitics, international relations, or whatever it is. You'll be much more better informed. So that is something that will make you a better person, not only for civil services, but also for other career, whatever you chose in life. And of course, yeah, I would like to conclude, like, approach it like any other watershed or crucial exam in your life, and try to do it like a finance. Of course, you might not get the opportunity later in life. And the process itself will humble you for sure. Like, there are so many much more talented persons, knowledgeable persons you can find always outside the service. So the process itself would humble you. And I really wish you all the very best. I really hope that you get into the service that you desire the most. My best wishes for you in that regard. Even if you don't, heavens forbid, try to exit with grace and honor. That will make life much better for you. And also, always remember, you're not defined by the success or by the exams that you ace. You as a person is much more. Yeah, I don't want to keep ranting too much. If some of you might, sorry, the moderator, can you please address the question what they ask? Can you please let me know? I couldn't see that. I think there is a message. Darshana?
They have just mentioned that they want to ask you a question, but not what question.
Do they have queries?
Yes, ma'am. But there's a separate session at the towards the end for question and answers.
Okay, all right.
Yes, ma'am.
I hope the person who texted, I hope he is getting it. I'll address your queries. Please don't panic. And yeah, I think this is one of the gross or bird's eye view, if I can share about my experiences. And also, you are free to contact me. You can feel free to contact me anytime for much more nuanced guidance or mentorship. And you can reach out to me through email. My ID is the same. It's nitilapriyanti@gmail.com. I hope that helps. Yeah, thank you for your patient listening. And it might sound philosophical or might be too sternest or whatever, but I hope it gives you some eyesight. Thank you. Thank you for your patient listening. And thank you, Shrija, Dashna, and all the other moderators also. And hi to Dr. Prashant once again.
Thank you, ma'am, for enlightening us. Apart from walking us through the exams, you also guided us on how to be ambitious about what we chase in life and to not give up. So we welcome the next speaker of our session. It's an honor to have Dr. Prashant sir, IAS Assistant Collector of Coimbatore. Sir graduated as the best outgoing student from Madras Medical College with the prestigious Johnstone Award. Sir was also the former convener of IMMS National Council in the year 2021. We welcome you, sir, to take over the session.
Good evening, everyone, and it gives me immense pleasure.
You should introduce him as the pride of MS in Tamil Nadu.
Really, yes.
Yes, here.
Yeah, so good evening,
Yeah,
everyone, and it gives me immense pleasure to be part of this August occasion. And must really thank Subramanian sir and Hariharan sir for the gracious invite, and of course the MSN and JDN teams of Trinalveli, including Dr. Shrija, Darshana, and other moderators as well. And of course, it feels even more surreal and in fact, in a way, nostalgic as well, because me and Dr. Nitlaka have also been part of the Labasna brigade, and it all just feels like yesterday. But then, we've already come a long way through. It's been nearly 1.5 years since we got our first postings. So technically, we've done seniors for certain batches, even within the service. So that's again yet another special occasion, I should say. And of course, Dr. Nitla has like beautifully put all the points together. She's woven a beautiful story that people will be really happy to understand and cherish about, because what she says cannot be like I mean, I think that is the exact scenario of how the UPSC system works, and she's been calling a spade a spade. So completely agree with whatever she's told on every single count of the UPSC process. So I think she's given almost two-thirds of the perspective into how the UPSC system works and about how people should probably look into it. So I think I can give my 2 cents on what I feel about the process. So again, I think I have a roughly kind of the same story that what Dr. Nitla has mentioned about, and that is pretty true with my MBBS journey as well. Because until the end of final year, I wasn't really decided about pursuing the UPSC or proceeding towards PG either, and my thoughts into the UPSC system probably drove more in the CRRA year. Again, that was the COVID year, and it was again in the peak of COVID season when probably we were left with no other opportunity but to explore different other of Lord Acton, where he says that great power comes with great responsibility. And I've always believed that if you would really have to make a change in the society, as they call it, it's not enough if you just rant about the different malice that exist in the society, but then you'll also have to ensure that you take the corrective steps for it. It's not enough in just a mere rant, but then you will have to ensure that you have a forward step and maybe set out as an example for others to follow suit. And there are a lot of people who have really a good deal of power, but then you don't really find great people do great things without ensuring judicious use of that power. So, exactly speaking, the long story cut short, I think there are a few topics that I would like to touch upon this. And with this aim or initiative is how I kind of stepped into the UPSC cycle. So let me try to probably address a few myths or questions that probably surround the UPSC prep process. So I'll try not to be repetitive with what Dr. Nitla has mentioned, but then in case I touch upon a few topics, then just pardon me for that. So one often asked question is about choosing the UPSC cycle post UG versus choosing it after you've done your PG. So again, when this question is put forward to me, I have only two things at mind. One, coming at an early age into the UPSC prep cycle or probably into the services as well, which is going to give you leverage in the long term. Two, it's about your financial difficulties. So if you think you have a well balanced financial system at your place, then I think you should probably resort to giving your attempts just post UG so that you have a number of years left for a good, decent number of attempts. One, two, also to ensure that you enter the services at a very young age. So, considering these two advantages, I would say that entering the services post UG is apt than doing it post PG. Of course, there's then this cliche argument that people, already blame you for wasting a medical seat. And if you're going to finish a PG and then do it, then I'm sure that'll be more than, people out there in the society to put you down to say that you've wasted a PG seat as well. So that's my take on UG versus PG. The second thing is about giving UPSC alone along with TNPSC Group 1. So vis-a-vis, when we compare both of them, I feel the TNPSC Group 1 has exactly the same content for the prelims. And it's just about the mains that matters, which is probably slightly different as compared to just um, UPSC alone. So my take on this would be to give both UPSC and TNPSC side by side, and probably if luck is on your side, along with the hard and smart work that you put across, I'm sure you'll be able to come out with flying colors in both of these exams. And of course, the first one, whichever you get into, it's going to give you a leverage. So my take on this is to again attempt both TNPSC Group 1 and UPSC. So that's two. The third thing is about having a plan B versus not planning and just venturing blindly into this UPSC civil service preparation process. Again, so being into the medical fraternity, I think, is a wonderful idea more because you also have a plan B, a fallback option, and it's a very secure option for you to fall back into because not everyone gets into the UPSC civil services. And if you make it through, just as Dr. Nitla mentioned, I think you must be equally talented and lucky and fortunate enough as well. So if I've made the cut, and today if I am into the IAS as well, I think I find myself extremely fortunate enough to be part of it. And it's not just about the kind of hard work that you put, but that element of fortune that has to be in your favor. So I'm strongly in favor of having a plan B and ensuring that you have a fallback option just in case things don't go the way that you wish it to be like. So one other often asked question is about the pay scale or the perks. So very often I'm, faced with this question. So what do you think is the salary of an IAS officer? And then there are always people who, go on to say probably say 2 lakhs, 2.5 lakhs, 1 lakh, 1.5. I've heard, I think, every single thing. But then this exactly gives you the same pay scale as what you would earn elsewhere with respect to a government job for a group A post. So that's something called a level 10 pay scale, which is 56,100 a basic pay. Added to the DA and all the perks and allowances put together, your salary lands up somewhere around 85 to 90,000 when you probably enter the services. So in case money is a criteria for you to enter the service, then this is how your starting salary is going to be like. And probably the chief secretary's basic pay is somewhere around 2.25 lakhs, which comes like 35 years down the lane. So that's exactly how the time scale and the pay scale or the perks are like. Of course, you do have a couple of allowances, but it's not really about the allowances or the pay scale that you enter the service for. It's about the kind of satisfaction and the plethora of diverse portfolios that you get to handle. So I think I'd like to touch upon me being an assistant collector and about how diverse portfolios we get to handle into the IAS. So basically at the level of the district, you have roughly 42 different portfolios under you with respect to, say, health, education, rural development, urban development, and the list goes on and on and on. So it's like 42 departments under you, and health probably is just one such department, which, both as a civil servant or as a medical person gets to handle. While being in this position, I think you get to handle 42 different portfolios, which accounts for the diversity. And it's about the kind of respect that you earn for yourself and for the family and for the kith and kin around you. Because just as I mentioned, this is a coveted post and not everyone gets to be in that. But the kind of power that's entrusted in you is also because you are worth the metal and you've been tested by it like around 3 rounds and then like 2 years of probation. So technically, you've been through the cycle for a pretty long time, almost equivalent to your MBBS degree. And that's exactly how the cycle goes on. So if this position of power, respect, and the kind of attention that's being paid to you at a young and tender age, say like 21 years, That I think speaks volumes about how or why you should choose the UPSC exam as such. So there's also one famous anecdote or incident that I would like to probably recall, which pertains to my college dean. So he once addressed me once I got into the services, and that's when he mentioned saying that to become a dean of a medical college probably took him, say, 35 years down the lane post MBBS, and probably somewhere around the 50s is when he reached the position of a dean. While the age of 21 is when you can give the UPSC exam, and probably by the age of 22, you can turn out an IAS, and for medicals, probably somewhere around 24. So, at a young age of 24, you are entrusted with enormous powers to represent the government and even control the directorates and the deans of several medical colleges, not one, but multitude. So, that again tells you about the kind of responsibility that's entrusted on you by virtue of being a part of the administrative services in specific or the civil services in general. So one another question is about the kind of politics that people handle within the civil services. Again, there's this question, or people accuse you saying that you're probably going to be under a minister, probably someone relatively less educated as you is going to, control you and all that stuff. But then let's understand that that's not always the case. Of course, we do report to the government or the legislature, which is controlled by the MLAs and the MPs. But then it's not really the case that they ask you to do something wrong or illegal, as how it is portrayed often in media or in the cinema. Most often, you do have situations where you can obviously call a spade and say no. And learning to say no is the first habit and the hallmark of someone in the bureaucracy. So that again tells you different stories about how you should deal with politicians. And very often they kind of shower you with great respect for the kind of position that you hold. And once you say that this is the legal position and this is something that I cannot do beyond, they pretty much understand that and they do kind of agree and amicably settle the matter. So it's not really about the cliche political overtones that we hear in the media or in colloquial circles that actually reflects. And the real day trend is, in fact, in complete contrast to what we would actually think it is. So I think the final touchdown on the topic is about how I kind of feel on today's platform as the assistant collector of Coimbatore. And I think the elections are the best venture I could ask for. So right now we're doing election season, and the systemic intensive revision SIR is in full swing and under full throttle. So I basically am the nodal officer for sweep. I handle multitude of projects on, say, the cataract camp as well, or it could be on the IT sector with respect to Coimbatore. So if all this could be controlled at a young and tender age, it is merely because someone's qualified the UPSC civil services and they've been deemed fit for the post and the position. So I think I've been thoroughly enjoying this position as the assistant collector, and our life at Labasna, the Lal Bahadur Shastri National Academy of Administration, I think is indeed a memorable occasion because we've been put through different activities, both for physical and mental fitness, and the kind of aura that the services bestows on you with respect to the academy is unparalleled. For morning 5 in the morning, I think all of us have been running, jogging, trekking, cycling, hiking. We've done, you name it, we've done it, everything. Like rock climbing, we've done a Himalayan trek, we've done a village visit, we've gone to Kevadia, Gujarat, we've interacted with the Honorable Prime Minister, the Honorable Chief Minister. You name it, and we've done it is exactly what, I should summarize it into. And that's exactly how endearing the services have been. And it's been a glorious 1.5 years into the service. And for the next 34 to 33 and a half years odd, I think I look forward really to serve into the services. And I think nothing as good as being part of it and relishing it. And I really hope and wish there are a lot of people, who are audience today, or maybe on the other side of the podium as listeners over here, have their dreams translated into real fortune. And that's the best thing that we as seniors probably would like to have to see our juniors go through. Also, I did see in the chat box that there were some of you, I think, who wanted the book list and stuff. So, though this might not be the perfect podium to share that, I think I can probably just give a short gist. So, for polity, there's something called Lakshmikant. For history, there's class 11 and 12 NCRT along with Spectrum. For geography, it's class 11 and 12 NCRT along with PMFI's material is what I used for physical geography. For economics, I used Thiran material, and for current affairs and other short subjects, it was PT and Mains 365, which is a material of Vision IAS, and most of it is also available freely as PDFs on the Vision IAS portal or other, such portals on Telegram and other such channels. So maybe on a detailed overview on how the UPSC process has to be conquered, I think all of us have given our success interviews post the results, and it's all afloat on YouTube and various other social media channels. And of course, I think many of you have been following us on social media as well. So just as how Dr. Nitla mentioned, I think we're all ears to hear you out, and I think extend our helping hands and help in case someone's really interested to clear the UPSC civil services. I think we're all out there to see our brethren into the services as well as, of course, junior colleagues. So we'd be more than glad to see you all in the very near future, and all the best for a glorious tenure both within MBBS and, of course, for the after MBBS pathway as well. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Dr. Prashant, sir. So I also call upon Hariharan sir, who is our mentor and who is backing up with Thiran sessions. So a few words for both of the speakers, sir.
So thank you, Shrija. I think it's one of those wonderful sessions you have where two young, outstanding performers speaking to you all about how they conquered what they dreamt of. And I think I personally know Prashant, and Prashant uh, has been one of those inspirational guys. I know he mentors a lot of young people around. So thanks, Prashant, and thank you, ma'am, for being there. And it is wonderful session as usual. Thanks, Prashant.
Thank you, sir.
We can go with the question and answer session. So we have one more question for Dr. Nitila Priyanti ma'am. There was a question. Ma'am, kindly please share the strategies that you acquired in the course of preparation and helped you in the mains. And also your strategies, especially in medical science optional, how extensively you covered syllabus and techniques, notions different from university exams. Ma'am, if you could answer that question, it will be great.
Okay, Dr. Shrija, yeah, I did see that question which was popping up, and as Dr. Prashant said the same thing. As I told you, the exam itself is a 1 year long thing. So this will not be appropriate. We need 1 or 2 more hours to discuss all our strategies and preparation with that. But yeah, there is this YouTube channels where you can just Google. Even myself, I have also shared all my strategies, book list, how did I go about. Everything is there on YouTube. Everything is on the public portal. So you can always go through that. I think that will be much helpful. So once you have gone through that, if you need further more nuanced strategies or furthermore any hand-holding support, then we are there for you. That is thing I think best I can say at this moment. I hope that clarifies the query also, right?
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. If possible, we can forward the YouTube links of the certain uh, channels you are preferring to the main group we have. We can do that also. So if anyone else has any questions? We are open for questions now.
Good evening, ma'am and sir. It was really a great session. I'm Marshita, currently final year MBBS student. And then I also thank Dhiren for organizing such a wonderful session. Being a medico, we are nearly far from the social and humanities subject. Of course, it's possible, but what are the difficulties that you faced in adapting to this a new stream of subjects and getting to know? And then, because this is the syllabus is very vast, how do you get into a precise syllabus and then get into revision just before the prelims and then back to back mains examinations and other stuff?
So I think it's not really hard for you to go through the humanities subject, provided you still remember a bit of your class 6 to 10 social studies. So I do agree and understand that it's been a pretty long time that all of us have been accustomed to humanities as such. But then it's again doable. Like it takes time. It of course takes time, and you are competing with fellow humanity background students. But then I think it's a level playing field. So science and technology is probably one area where you might feel relatively comfortable. And then of course you have an optional for your choice. So if you're going to choose medical science, I think the time that you'll devote for medical science per se, provided you've done your MBBS like decently well, I think you don't have to give as much time as someone doing a new optional altogether. So to do an optional, I think it takes somewhere around 3 to 5 months solid. But you're saving basically on that and then probably investing it on your GS papers. So I think with time, with efforts, it comes. And I think that's been my strategy. I think Dr. Mithla can as well add a little more to it.
Yeah, this is the same, like as Dr. Prashant said. Like, the problem is there is nothing. We tend to presume that since we are at a medico, we are at a greater disadvantage when it comes to the variety of subjects. But actually, what is more is when you go through the syllabus, most of these subjects are actually interesting. It is more like a storytelling. When you start reading geopolitics, it's like it seems to have no end, and the problem is you should not be carried away too much by the subject. So it is the other way around. Rather than you developing an interest, it is going to be the other way around. So just enjoy knowing about it. That is the first and foremost thing I would say. And always stick to the syllabus. Not everything under the sky is being asked. And as medicos, as he said, I can still remember there are always questions about these genetics, molecular biology, vaccination. These parts are there which we as medicos can attempt even without preparing, right? This is not the advantage which other humanities background students can have. So similarly, there are each and every aspirant will have their own pros and cons of choosing a particular subject. So it's like a level playing field on the board. That is something.
Thank you, sir and ma'am.
Thank you, Archita, for asking that question. So there are two questions in the chat box, and I think part of it is answered right now. So I'll ask the question again. One advantage and one disadvantage of doctor turning a civil servant. So the other question is, do you miss your academic experiences? So if any of the speaker can answer this.
I think it could be rather more precise. Right? Disadvantage and advantage for whom? For yourself, for the society, or for the family? Because I don't understand. Like, so that
Yeah,
is
maybe
something.
they have asked question is there any disadvantage if a doctor becomes a civil servant? Or maybe some pros from the doctor field. Maybe the one you answered, you can answer many questions of genetics and molecular biology. That comes as an advantage. And as the questions are of varieties and subjects are vast, that cannot be that was not included in our curriculum. That becomes a disadvantage. Anything else? If you have found it during service or
Yeah, this is see, I think while mentioning also, I did mention about the prelims exam, about the CSAT. We are not from a mathematics background, so that might be challenging for some people. So I think there's advantage and disadvantage. We can't generalize it. It has to be customized. I mean, right? What is disadvantage for one would be the advantage for other, even between the medicals. See, most of us, myself as well as Dr. Prashant, both of us had medical science as our options. But we know colleagues of the same batch in Labasna who had humanities as their options. So I think it is personally all about what do you like? It is about finding what you like. That is it. It's not like one thing scores better than other, and there is one advantage over the other. So it's ultimately this is the thing. I think hope that answers it.
Yeah, sure, ma'am. If Prashant sir want to add anything, you can, sir.
I think just as Dr. Nitlaka has mentioned, I think I have nothing beyond that to say because she's been exactly on dot, on point. Absolutely, that has been the case because we've had batchmates who are chartered accountants, lawyers, doctors, let alone professional streams, even humanities background, geography, economics. So if all of them have been able to make the cut, then there's something unique about the exam, right? So that's exactly how the process works. So just as she mentioned, I think the advantage and disadvantage, if at all, like I should construe, like disadvantage, she was on dot. It's the CSAT paper, more likely because people are not accustomed to maths, or it's been some while since they touched maths. The advantage maybe that I can see is probably that you are used to reading voluminous books. So being a medico, since you're already done reading, like say, big books, I think it's relatively easier for you to read the voluminous content again in UPSC, which probably others find it a little tougher because again, for them doing it is probably for the first time, but for you, you are used to doing it every single year. So I think this is the only other advantage that I can probably think of, or maybe even disadvantage for that matter. So the question probably is slightly off track.
Yeah, okay, sir. So there was other question that is, do you miss the academic experiences? Maybe they are asking these about the clinicals you have attended in MBBS. So do you miss being a doctor? Maybe that's the
I
perfect
think
way of
all of
putting.
them miss the professions, being doctors or even lawyers for that matter. A lawyer would be nostalgic, to go to the court and then, see the court walls. So I think all of us miss our parent professions. But then the new role that we've donned, I think that adds more virtue to whatever we've done because we will still be able to apply our knowledge that we've gained across our graduation years into different ways. So, in fact, one fancy fact about being a medic turned civil servant is that we don't lose our degrees, we don't lose our registrations. While lawyers, chartered accountants, from whatever field you come, basically, you lose your degrees in the sense that your registrations are suspended for the period you are into the civil service. But for you, as doctors, nobody cancels your registration. You are still free to practice, provided you don't, make monetary gains out of it. So that I think speaks volumes again about the importance of the medical field and about how once you turn a doctor, you are a doctor for eternity and for life. So you technically, I don't really think there's any scope to miss being a clinician.
Yeah, similarly, just extrapolating what he has said, rather, Prashant has put it beautifully, we always have a chance to practice it. And we still remember, both of us have been doing this work for our own colleagues. They used to consult us whenever we were in Labasna, be it an injury, traumatic injury. We have done these suggestions for so many people. And of course, in the long run, you might think, and in my own service, if I say, if it is IRS Customs and Central Excise, like basically we are in charge of this narcotics bureau. So narcotics is all about our own field, right? So each and every service, what I mean to say is, has its own section devoted to medicine. So that is always there where you can find solace. But yeah, newer roles and newer responsibilities. And do remember, at the end of the day, there is always a trade-off. You can never be on the same both the boats, right? At the same time. So there's always a trade-off. So choose what you want. That's it.
Well said, Akka, well said. Also, I have a personal question of myself. We can practice, but is there time to practice it? Is that too much hectic, or will there be time to practice?
See, the very fact that your batchmates are consulting you, it's a form of practice. Basically, you're brushing up your medical knowledge because you will have to tell them medications with drug dosages. It's not even, your UG studies wherein probably you can simply say, paracetamol. You'll have to say paracetamol 650 mg TDS. You'll have to tell it in full. So it's properly doing a clinician's job. And of course, when they tell you the symptomatology and then they ask you, what do you think could it be? Or what is it like? Or give me suggestions of, your friends who are in the medical field, who are into probably dermatology, probably into gynecology. So I think at every instance, we are still part of the medical fraternity and we still get to discuss cases, we still give suggestions, we get suggestions. So I think it's bimodal. So I don't really agree when someone says that you've left the medical field and you're done for good. So that's not really the case, according to me at least. And I think all of us still make out time, at least for a kith and kin.
Yes, Teja, this adding on to it, don't worry too much because you have much more other things to worry about. So always it can be practiced no matter what.
In fact, Dr. B.C. Roy is the best example for it. He was Chief Minister of West Bengal and he was still practicing medicine. And that's exactly after whom the Indian Medical Association is, created, formed, set up, established. So nothing better than this occasion to make or take his name.
Okay, sir. So if there are any more questions, we'll go on with it. Anyone else want to raise a question? You can unmute and ask or put it in the chat box. Also, we had a question, I think it was messaged to me. Was there any interesting interview question you wanted to mention, or any segment you wanted to mention in the interview process you had? It is for both of these speakers. So if anyone want to share it, we can take 2 minutes or 3 minutes to do that.
I think I didn't have a really airy or strange question that was asked. I think for me, my questions were 50-50. Like it was very much expected. Anemia, NEAT, those were, I think, one end of the spectrum. The other end of the spectrum was geopolitics about BRICS and about new countries into BRICS and so on, about the mobility and migration partnership agreement, something very technical on international relations. Maybe the first question on the start of the interview was about Amma Unavagam, which probably the chairman of the board knew about, or maybe he wanted me to talk about. So I think nothing very surprising. It was just on expected lines.
Yeah, considering the interview, right? Interviews, questions and all. What I can remember is pretty much they were on expected lines. A lot of that came from medicine because they were launching so many new schemes. Like we had this PMSSY, generic drug scheme, and all these compulsory licensing. All these things were going on by then. So most of it was centered around current affairs. And something that I can say offbeat is like the chairman himself asked me this question. There were a lot of questions pertaining to politics of Tamil Nadu. And that is something he asked, and the board themselves gave a disclaimer stating that we are not supposed to ask you questions from politics, but still we go ahead. That is something they gave it for themselves, and there was questions about Jayalalitha, the late the CM who was there, and what was she renowned for. And then there were questions about what do you think about the relation between cinema and politics in Tamil Nadu? Why is it often comes up? So why Rajnikant or Kamal Hassan? Why don't they make it to politics? So these kind of interesting things. Then why do you think South Indian movies are doing better? So all these controversial questions they did pop up just because I was one of the member. I mean, I was one of the candidates from Tamil Nadu. I think that is why they have asked it, and yeah, it did go well.
Ma'am, also I wanted to ask this also. Like, if we are asked such questions and if the board is not going against, or if you want to decline a question, like, can we do that, or is that like we should like it's the basic Viva thing we cannot in here we cannot like I don't know, sir. We can just jump off the question, but is there a possibility, or will that reflect as a negative mark? If there we are like protecting us against a controversial question or such.
See, my humble opinion in this scenario, the interview altogether, I would say it's a different game. They never test you for knowledge. They are least bothered whatever knowledge you have because that has already been tested in mains. So, what are the aspects they are looking from you? So, everybody knows that is controversial. For example, let me say, if I ask you, the case of abortion was going on, right? Should women be given the choice of abortion? This question may sound as simple as that, but do you really think the answer has a right or wrong? Because these are open-ended questions. What I mean to say is there is a lot of subjectivity in answering those questions. So what they want to tell you is they are least bothered whether you say yes or no, but they will definitely look, why do you say yes and why do you say no? That is something they are looking for. See, let me give you an example. I was asked a question about the classical languages. Tamil was given. Tamil is one of the classical languages of India, right? One of the 6 classical languages of India. And by the time I was attending the interview, protests were going on because people were protesting to make Bengali, as they were demanding classical language status for Bengali language also. So the chairman was like, do you think it should be given? Do you think it should be given or not? So I just meant to say that, sir, the manner in which a classical language status is defined is actually based on an objective criteria. The Ministry of Culture has released guidelines. There are some 5 to 6 points that should be followed before you go on to tell that a language can be given as a classical language. So this is how you can rationally handle that question, right? So just because some of us are from Tamil Nadu, we can't say that no, Tamil is the oldest language, only that should be given and other languages cannot be given. See how absurd and immature that response would seem. So this is what they want to test in you. They just want to know, why do you say yes? Why do you say no? Even if it is no, I can boldly say that is no. If I know that there is no continuity in Bengali as a language, then because that is one of the criteria, then I can, if I know that for sure, I can go on and say, no, sir, it doesn't fit into the criteria, so I can decline it. So I think just be confident. And one more advice is just don't take any guesses. That is not something they would like this half-baked knowledge. You can be bold enough to say no. That is something they'll always appreciate. And I think I scored pretty well. They gave around 210. I think that was pretty much okay for that thing. And what I could retrospectively assume from my interview stage is that they don't look for knowledge. They are looking for those qualities that will make you as a civil servant. That's it. I think that answers your question.
Yeah. Yes, Akka, thank you. So, okay, I think we don't have any question in the chat box, and if the speakers are okay, we can go on with the next. Yeah. Okay, we'll go on with vote of thanks. I'll invite Kritik Roshan as Finance Secretary of MSN Tirunelveli to do that. Before that, Hariharan sir, if you want to add on, do you want to add on anything, sir?
No, it was wonderful hearing. You can please go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I think there's a question popped up by Achita. How do you keep your consistency and hard work every day and come back after failure in 2022 attempts, ma'am?
Yeah,
I
to
think
be
that was for
honest,
Mithila.
yeah, I think I had addressed it already in my talk. The fact is, I did not even consider 2022 as my attempt because I was not prepared for that. I just gave it because of peer pressure. Like, since I have been staying for a few months at home, I thought, okay, all my colleagues were giving NEET. So I thought, okay, I'll also go and try. That is it. That was itself not my prepared attempt. So I don't. And to answer your question, like in case if you fail in one attempt, it's not, that's what I say. You just fix how many attempts you want to take, considering all the factors that we have discussed so far. And then try to put all your efforts, like give your 100%. So despite that, there are some, if you're unable to do it, then please don't take the blame too much on you. That is all I can say. Because so many factors matter in this exam. And those factors can't always be controlled by me or by Prashant or by whosoever who are even in the services. We can't control that, right? So don't consider it as a failure. Don't see it as a competition where we can win or lose it. See it as a process. I think that will help you to come up even more stronger. So just don't avoid all those. Just shut your ears to the external pressures. That is best I can say.
Thank you, ma'am. I think that was a wonderful session. I even had the words of wisdom and always enlightened by both of our speakers. So we'll formally have a vote of thanks from Kritik Roshan, our Finance Secretary of IMAMS and Tirunelveli. Kritik.
Good evening to all. On behalf of IMA, Radian and MSN, I take immense pleasure in delivering the vote of thanks. Thanks to Thiran Session 6. First and foremost, I would extend our heartfelt gratitude to Dr. Nithala ma'am for taking time for our session despite your hectic schedule to guide us through the UPSC Civil Service examination. Your insights on the preparation and the walkthrough to how emotionally hold through and stay ambitious were truly insightful and motivating. Thank you, ma'am, for your valuable words. I also extend my heartfelt gratitude to Dr. Prashant sir. It was such an honor to have you, sir. You've been such an inspiration to a lot of students, particularly among the medical community. We thank you, sir, for your time despite your busy schedule. You've given us what is UPSC Civil Service examination beyond just the exams. You guide us also upon the life you're experiencing after the examinations. I mean, after your services has begun. Glad to have you here, sir. I extend our gratitude to Dr. Hariharan sir, our IMA JD Tamil Nadu chairman, and Dr. Balasubramanian sir, our former IMA Tirunelveli president. Thank you, sir, for gracing this occasion. A big thank you for the MSN and JD team of Tirunelveli for organizing this event and making it a huge success. I extend our greatest gratitude to our beloved audience for joining us and staying throughout the session. Thank you, everyone. It was a wonderful session.
Also, I wanted to add on, we had the thought of having UPSC CSE from Thiran 1, but we also had a thought who will be the speakers, and yeah, it was then we had our beautiful speakers, Neetula ma'am and Prashant sir. Uh, they are the achievers of PVMC and MMC. So thank you for taking the invite and sharing the words of wisdom for us. All the participants and all the achievers are grateful for you. Thank you, Dr. Nitila Priyantinam and also Dr. Prashant sir. We'll have, if possible, we'll have another session for UPSC CSE for the book list and the strategies to prepare. Thank you for joining. Thank you all the participants for joining.
Yeah, thank you,
So I
Sheena.
think we
Thank you.
can, yeah.
Yeah,
Thanks
thank you.
And all the organizers also, all the very best for everyone. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. I think we can close the session, and that was Thiran session 6. Thank you, everyone.